Hello, hello, hello. We are back with Chapter 6, Lesson 3, using properties with rational numbers. And remember, rational numbers includes natural numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, whole numbers, which throws in a 0, integers, which are the negative numbers, -4, -3, and then rational numbers are fractions that can be written as decimals that terminate or they repeat. So that's what we're talking about, using properties with rational numbers. So this first example is talking about writing equivalent expressions. Now remember, equivalent means things that are equal to each other. Expressions are referring to things that do not have equal signs, okay? So we're going to be writing two things that don't have equal signs, equivalent expressions. So let's go ahead and read this problem. It says an art teacher pays $13.89 for one box of watercolor brushes. So that's an important piece of information. I'm going to highlight it. $13 per box for one box of watercolors. She buys 6 boxes in March. So 6 boxes in March. And then 5 boxes in April. What we're going to do is we're going to use the distributive property, and I'll show you how to do this, to write equivalent expressions showing 2 ways to calculate the total cost of the watercolor boxes. So we're finding the total cost of the watercolor boxes. All right. So to find the total cost of the watercolor boxes, we need to know how much each box is, or each box costs. And then we're going to multiply that. I'm going to use a parenthesis, multiply a parenthesis, by the number of boxes that we bought. Okay. So how much does each box cost? Well, it costs $13.89. Perfect. Well, how many boxes did we buy? Well, in this case, we bought some boxes in March, and we also bought some boxes in April. So we bought 6 boxes in March plus 5 boxes in April. So this is an example of the number of boxes. So we can actually do this process 2 ways. The first way, so I'm going to write it down 2 times, the same thing, 1389, 6 plus 5. Okay? So the first way to do this problem would just be using the order of operations. Okay? And so the order of operations says we need to do the parentheses first. So it's going to be 13.89. We're going to do the parentheses 6 plus 5, which is 11. And then we're just going to do that multiplication. So I'm going to do it off to the side, 13.89 times 11. We end up with 1 times 9 is 9, 1 times 8 is 8, 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 1 is 1. We're in the tens place, add 0. Then we just multiply everything by 1 again. And then we add 9 plus 0 is 9. 8 plus 9 is 17. Write the 7, carry the 1. 8 plus 3 is 11, plus 1 is 12. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And then we drop down the 1. Now I just need to figure out we're multiplying by decimals, so the places, right? There's 2 places there, which means our answer is going to have 2 places, which means our decimal goes right there. So the total cost ends up being $152.79. Okay, so that's using the order of operations. The second way we're going to do it is using the distributive property. And on your homework, you're going to have to do it both ways. So the distributive property, we have these parentheses, we have a number on the outside. We're going to take this number and multiply it by the 6, and then we're going to take the same number and multiply it by the positive 5. So we're going to have 13.89 times 6 plus 13.89 times 5. Now, when we do this, we should get the same answer. Okay? Order of operations says we have to do the multiplication first, left to right. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out what this is off to the side first. 13.89 times 6. Okay, 6 times 9 is 54. Write the 4, carry the 5. 6 times 8 is 48. Plus 5 would be 53. Write the 3, carry the 5. 6 times 3 is 18. Plus 5 would be 23. Write the 3, carry the 2. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 2 is 8. Now I just have to determine where that decimal goes. There's 2 decimal places. It means there's 2 in our answer. So when we multiply this, this ends up being 83.34 plus, and now I need to do this multiplication, 13.89 times 5. 5 times 5 is 45. Write the 5, carry the 4. 5 times 8 is 40, plus 4 is 44. Write the 4, carry the 4. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 is 19. Write the 9, carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And then I have 2 decimal places here. Means I have to have 2 decimal places there. So it ends up being 69.45. So that's what I write here, 69.45. The last thing I need to do is just add these two. So whenever you're adding decimals, you line up the decimal places. So it's going to be 69.45 plus 83.34. I add. 4 plus 5 is 9. 3 plus 4 is 7. Bring down the decimal place. 3 plus 9 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 8 plus 6 is 14, plus 1 is 15. And there I have it. The total cost is $152.79. We get the same thing. Woohoo! Okay, so that's how you do those problems using 2 different ways. So now it is your turn to check it out. I want you to go ahead and solve this problem using the same way. Set up your equation, or your expression, I'm sorry. The first way you're going to do it is using the order of operations. The second way you're going to do it is the distributive property. If you're struggling with this, just go ahead and press play and we'll do this one together. But if you think you got it, go ahead and pause it. Go ahead and work out the problem both ways, and when you get done, press play and we'll see how you did. All right, see you in a bit. See you in a bit. All right, we are back. Let's go ahead and check it out. So I'm going to read the problem. It says Jamie earns $8.75 per hour. So that's a key information. That's how much money she makes per hour. Last week, she worked 15 hours. And the next week, she worked 20 hours. Next week. Oh, I probably should highlight last week. So last week, she worked 15 hours. The next week, she worked 20 hours. Use the distributive property to write equivalent expressions showing 2 ways to calculate how much money she earned. So calculate how much money she earned. Okay? So whenever you're talking about earnings, how you find your earnings, your total earnings, is by determining your hourly wage, and you multiply that by the total number of hours worked. And that's how you find your, how much you make. So with this problem, Jamie earns $8.75 per hour. So that's going to go here, $8.75, and we're going to multiply that by the number of hours she worked. Well, she worked hours last week, which was 15, and then next week, which was 20. So that means the total number of hours she worked is going to be 15 plus 20. Okay, so we're going to solve this 2 ways. There's way number 1 and way number 2. The first way we're going to solve this is using the order of operations. And the second way we're going to use, solve it, is using the distributive property. But we're just going to keep it the same, 8.75 times 15 plus 20. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So order of operations, when we're doing this problem, says that we have to do the parentheses first. So we're going to have 8.75, 15 plus 20 is going to be 35. So we just do this multiplication. This has 3 places, this has 2, so I'm going to put the 3 places on top. 8.75 times 35. And do the multiplication. 5 times 5 is 25, right? The 5 carry the 2. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2 is 37, right? 7 carry 3. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 3 is 43. Now I'm in the tens place, so I'm going to add a 0 and then start multiplying. 3 times 5 is 15, right? The 5 carry the 1. I'm making that into a 1. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 would be 22, right? The 2 carry the 2. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 2 would be 26. And now I just add. So I have 5 plus 0, which is 5. 7 plus 5 is 12, right? The 2 carry the 1. 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 1 is 6. 4 plus 6 is 10, right? The 0 carry the 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. So I'm very, very close. I just need to figure out where to put that decimal. There's 2 places in the original problem. That means my answer is going to have 2 places. So I put it right there between the 6 and the 2. So this ends up being, my total earnings would be $306.25. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and use the distributive property. So that means I'm going to multiply 875 times 15 and then multiply 875 times 20. So I have 875 times 20, okay, I'm sorry. 875 times 15 plus 875 times 20. So order of operations says I need to do this multiplication first. I'm just going to come over here and do it over here on this side. So I'm going to have 8.75 times 15. 5 times 5 is 25, right? The 5 carry the 2. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2 is 37, right? The 7 carry the 3. 5 times 8 is 40, plus 3 is 43. Now I'm in the tens place, so I need to put a 0 in the ones place before I can start. And then I just go for it. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 8 is 8. And now I add 5 plus 0 is 5. 7 plus 5 is 12, right? The 2 carry the 1. 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 1 is 11, right? The 1 carry the 1. 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Okay, perfect. Now I just need to figure out the decimals. So there's 2 decimal places here, which means in my answer there's going to be 2 decimals. So it means it ends up being 131.25. So 8.75 times 15 is 131.25. Plus, now I need to figure out this, 8.75 times 20. So 8.75 times 20. Okay? So this is nice. There's a 0, so I can just put the 0 in the ones and then start in the tens place. 2 times 5 is 10, right? The 0, carry the 1. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15, right? The 5, carry the 1. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 1 would be 17. Now I just need to figure out the decimal places. So there are 2 in the problem, means there's going to be 2 in the answer. So I put it right there between the 5 and 0, and I end up with 175. I don't need to put the 0.000. It's understood that 175 is the same thing as that. So now I just need to do this addition. I'm going to go over here. I need to line up the decimals. So I have 131.25 and then 175.00. 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 0 is 2. The decimal comes down. 1 plus 5 is 6. 3 plus 7 is 10, right? The 0, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So my answer is 306.25. 0.25, which is the same thing we got over here. So if you did that and you did it all correct with method 1 using order of operations and method 2 using the distributive property, great job, and we will see you next time with example 2.